Carmen. We are going to have some fun.
Oh, that we are. The 360 trainings are always the best ones.
Yes, so I think we'd just like to invite the audience in a little bit as to what this revenue recognised session is for tax faculty. So I know from our side, all the changes that have happened in the last few years with IFRS 15 and recognising revenue and understanding what revenue is versus turnover. I think there's been quite a few changes, and I think just to get people to understand what it's about, and then to counter that on your side, the fact that you've got your understanding, which is totally different in some respects to my understanding. So I think the session that we're wanting to run from our point of view is to get the tax practitioners to understand what's in the financial statements. And the fact that RT14 SDs are going to be a real thing, because the financial reporting...
even more of a thing.
Even more of a thing. The financial reporting has definitely gone in a weird way. And then just also the conversation that turnover, we keep on using this term turnover, but it has no definition. So from our side, from my part one of the series, I would love to invite everyone to come and have a conversation about understanding the top line of the income statement or the statement of performance. And really, we have fun because we always banter, but in all seriousness, who would have thought that the bridge between us would have been on something like the top line and on sales? Isn't that the easiest one to have as a pivot point?
No, and I think it's something that's part of the reason why I think it's so important that we as tax practitioners actually really understand the gap in thinking or sort of the different philosophies almost between what you're putting through or what's being applied in the financial records and how tax thinks about it, because we've got essentially multiple different pieces of legislation and multiple different guidelines trying to explain the same thing, but from fundamentally different points of view. And they're trying to solve different problems, which means that you can no longer just take what's in the financial statements and go and say, okay, well, here's my tax number. We knew it, but it's even worse than before.
I think that's exactly why people need to come and join us on the session, is because you and I, we are on opposite ends here as to what the thinking is behind this number. My thinking is futuristic. It is for investors to get an understanding of cash flows. It is for an understanding about the performance of the company. It's economic. Your understanding is different.
I'm going with how much can SARS take? No, that's a very silly take, but it's just the idea that I look at what's realized, whereas you would be looking at what's the big picture, including the unrealized, and the fact that you can estimate a whole bunch more than tax can just because of the nature of the numbers you're working with. It's a different audience, it's a different problem.
And I think for those of you that haven't opened up a financial reporting IFRS standard for a while, revenue is a fundamental concept. It's kind of like going to your GP and he doesn't know the latest about heart developments. Even though you might not work in financial reporting, you need to understand what these numbers mean. And the fact that accountants are becoming more legalistic. So maybe you'll have to come to the session to find out, but we might just be closing the gap a little bit on you. But please come and join us. Come and listen to Carmen and I have a bit of fun and hopefully bring the topic alive for you.
No, absolutely. And also, I think it would be a great way to re-engage with the topics and some of the basics that you may have forgotten about what it means to be gross income, what it means to be a supplier for VAT, when do you have to recognize it, and how that ties in with the changes in accounting.
So revise, refresh, and update.
Looking forward to it. We'll see you at the sessions.
Looking forward to it. See you then.